Have you ever wondered why some stories seem to effortlessly get attention, while others struggle to get noticed? Well, today we're diving into storytelling, but from a completely different perspective. This isn't about why storytelling is great and why you should be sharing your story with your audience. We already know that sharing your story is a good idea. We're going deeper into this topic today, and we're asking an important question, and that is, are you sharing enough? Are you going deep enough? And are you sharing enough that creates an irresistible connection with your audience so they want to learn more? And also, does your story resonate deeply enough with your ideal journalist so they will cover the story and you get to grow your business? Just like Halle Berry did. So, in this video, I'm going to be sharing why diving deeper into your story will help you stand out in a crowded content space. And I'll also be sharing the 5 key questions that you need to ask yourself to help you go deeper into your story and find those special nuggets that journalists will want to jump on and that your audience will want to know more about. I will also be analysing Halle Berry's recent publicity campaign that centred on her experience with menopause, and I'll also be showing you how she used the PR campaign to segue into her business. And she did this through diving deeper into her personal story. So if you're ready, let's dive into the video. So we all know that storytelling is really important. It helps to connect with your audiences. It helps to get your message out there that relates to your audience's pain points. But many business leaders fail to go deeper into their story and find those special nuggets. And when you ask why, a lot of the reason is they are afraid to go deeper because they're afraid to reveal more about themselves. Or another reason is they're not quite sure what parts to pick out in order to resonate deeply with journalists and audiences online. Now, before we go any further, if you would like to dive deeper into this subject, please grab a copy of my book called Breaking into the Media, A Journalist's Guide to Publicity. And in this book, I share all my tips from 15 years in journalism about how to write better stories. Okay, let's get back into it. Your story is what makes you memorable, relatable, and trustworthy. But the type of story I'm talking about here is the one where you go deeper, under the surface. A lot of stories don't hit home because they are what I call surface storytelling. You're only skimming the surface and you're not going deeper to find the nuggets that will resonate more deeply with audiences. And I call this lifting the lid, lifting off the surface and looking underneath and having the courage to go and find other angles. So I once worked with a medical technology company and they made products in the health space. So they asked me to look at their PR campaigns, at their marketing, to find out why their story wasn't hitting home. Now, they had a product that changed lives. It helped people with a really embarrassing problem, incontinence. So this product was life changing for many people. So they had testimonials, they had quotes, they'd gotten coverage in medical magazines and journals, but they were really looking for that one story that reached a wider audience, that got them into more high tier media publications. So I went off on a quest to find out why their story wasn't working. I knew something was missing, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So I decided to apply my technique of lifting off the surface and going deeper, going behind the campaigns, going deeper into what they'd already done. So after spending some time interviewing users, interviewing people that were involved in the campaigns, I started to notice that there was a certain amount of information missing, a certain amount of key points in the story that were missing. And after a while, I found that Incontinence in pregnancy kept coming up as a key area that they could look at more. And also, one of their very first customers was a pregnant woman who spent her entire pregnancy worrying about where the nearest toilet was. She didn't have that product then, but she did use it when her baby arrived, and she found it immensely helpful to get her body back on track after what was a stressful pregnancy for her. So I went down this route and I spoke to this woman, and I found super useful nuggets of information in her story. Now, the easiest thing to do here is to get her to tell her story from start to finish and write up a piece basically from her point of view. And that is what a lot of companies do. But what I urge you to do instead is not just use her story start to finish, because sometimes people that are using a product don't want to have their full story out there into the world. But what you need to do is sit down with this person and get the nuggets of information and weave them into your story in a meaningful way. And it helps to stop the surface storytelling and go deeper using her story, but at strategic points of the wider telling of the story. So, what we did was we used three key quotes from her experience using this product, and we got some video footage of her. We got some really lovely footage of her with her baby, and we weaved it into the wider story and showed how this problem that she had was being solved gradually by using this product. And we went behind the scenes, under the surface, and we had a story that actually resonated, not a testimonial that was very surface skimming. Oh, this is a great product. This was wonderful. No, she actually said how it changed her life. And it begs the question, why do some businesses not want to go deeper? What is the fear around going deeper into your story? Sometimes businesses feel that they can't share anymore because they're afraid of what people are going to think. They're afraid of being judged. But you can decide how deep you're going to go. You can stop it at a certain point where it doesn't feel comfortable for you or your brand any longer. But it's important to note that going deeper will help your story to resonate better with your audience. The key to this really is learning how to share enough. Enough information without oversharing, but enough information to hook your audience and to hook journalists who are going to cover the story. So later on in this video, I will be sharing the 5 key questions that you will answer in order to find your area of comfort when you go under the surface and go deeper into telling your story. But now we're going to look at how Halle Berry used her personal story to huge effect, centered around her experience with menopause. So let's dive into that now.
It was so painful when I tried to let a little bit out. I couldn't go. I had to squeeze it. I had to let. It took me almost 10 minutes to just empty my bladder because it was so painful.
Okay, here you'll see she's talking about a very intimate problem that she had going through menopause. And she's saying how she found it really, really difficult to go to the bathroom. And she is going deep here, absolutely. And she's sharing her personal story, but going into it in a deeper level.
So I go right to the doctor, and he's, doing the exam, looking up there, and he said, "Yep, I think I know what this is." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "It's a really bad case of herpes."
So in this clip, you'll see she's actually gone deeper and she's talked about her misdiagnosis. And her doctor diagnosed her with a really bad case of herpes. And this really surprised her. And many women will relate to this because menopause is misdiagnosed in many, many cases. So this really hit home and personal storytelling on a deeper level. Now let's see in the next clip what else she uses her personal story to drive home another point.
We spend the next 72 hours kind of doing the blame game, trying to figure out who gave it to me, who gave it to him. And then a couple hours after that, my doctor called me and said that you do not have herpes.
Oh my God.
And it's almost like I was like, what? I'm like, okay, then what is it?
And here she talks about the misdiagnosis and how it had an impact on her relationship, something also other women would relate to, because when you're going through menopause or going through any difficult period in your life, oftentimes people close to you don't really understand their position in it. They don't really understand how to support you. So they went through what she called the blame game. And this would have resonated hugely with women because it's a very difficult time emotionally, physically, and mentally. And she is absolutely sharing her story to emphasize this part of the process of menopause. And she had absolutely no problem in sharing this story on Oprah, with Drew Barrymore, on many, many national TV programs. Now, this is what you call going deep. Now, Halle Berry could have just went on these shows and talked about menopause in a very surface way, but she knew that if she wanted to hit home with her story and her experience of menopause, she knew she had to go deeper. And that is exactly what she did when she shared her story with the media. And it's because she went deep that the story started to get picked up by national newspapers, national radio. People started talking about menopause and Halle Berry shining a light into the more intimate problems that women experience when they go through menopause. It made the subject resonate and it made it feel like it had more importance in the news cycle. And you know what the key to all of this was? She connected instantly. She opened up her storybook and she said, "This is what happened to me." And it led to a natural conversation about menopause, her experience, and it made women talk more openly about how this can be such a life changing part of life. And it also helped people discover her brand, Respin, which offers help to women going through menopause. And it showed how Halle Berry was deeply focused on helping others. And why do we share our story in the first place? We share our story to help others overcome similar problems. And she understood this deeply and wasn't afraid to go deeper into her story so it resonated on a better level. So there were five key parts in her personal storytelling PR campaign. So first was personal storytelling. She shared her own experiences with menopause, including her misdiagnosis, which happens an awful lot, her challenges, and what made her go down the advocacy route. And it made her hugely relatable and authentic. And her openness about this topic, like vaginal dryness and intimacy, resonated massively with women. She's also breaking taboos. This was a huge part of when she shared her story. It was like, oh my God, Halle Berry is talking about this. So she challenged societal stigmas around menopause. And she encouraged conversations about midlife health. And this bold approach garnered significant media interest and attention. She also spoke about the innovative products and services that she's providing through Respin, her brand. So there's a lot, I'll let you check out the brand yourself, but it addressed specific pain points that women have when they go through menopause. And this added a unique angle to her story. She had the experience, she's advocating for women, and now she's providing the solution. And also sharing her story, it provided an educational insight. And this was also massively important because the importance of education around midlife, I mean, it's hugely lacking for women that are going through menopause. It's quite difficult to find places where you can openly talk about it. And a lot of the information isn't very accurate. So she was providing tools like symptom trackers, like stuff around health coaching, and she shared an educational aspect to her story. And then the advocacy. She became an advocate for people, women going through menopause. She took her mission to Washington, D.C., and she spoke openly about how this is an area that needs to be tackled. And she was foremost in driving the conversation. So she took a 5-pronged approach to sharing her story, and it was super effective in resonating with her ideal audience, in resonating with journalists, and resonating with publications. So she continued to share her story through interviews, public appearances, social media, and she ensured that her message reached a wider audience. So she didn't just look at a PR campaign, she looked at the wider marketing picture of how she was going to get this story out there. So it was a mix of PR, social media, collaborations, and media appearances and public appearances that kept her story in the news cycle and shared it in a way that reached a wider audience. So, can you see how going slightly deeper, even slightly more deeper into your story, can help hook your audience? So, I urge you to look at challenges, transformations, results, get the stats, and then go behind the stats and start to find nuggets of information that will help your story hit home stronger with your audience and with journalists. Okay, so I said I would share 5 key questions that I want you to ask yourself next time you're going to write a story about a certain aspect of your business. So, question number 1. Did your business idea come from a personal experience that you had? Did you have a fight on your hands to get this business started? Question 2. Did your business idea come from a time when you were at your lowest in your life or your highest point in your life? And take time to think about this deeply. And why did this idea resonate with you so deeply at the time? Question 4. What was the catalyst that propelled you forward? We all get ideas, but what was that one thing, the catalyst that said, you know what? I'm going to run with this one. Try and remember back. What was it? And then what aspects of yourself did you like and not like during this time when you were getting this idea off the ground? And if you sit quietly with these questions and answer them, they will form the basis of how you're going to go deeper into your story. And I urge you not to hold back. You don't have to share all this information in your story when you're going to push it out into the media, but take the time to answer them honestly and with depth, and you will find the nuggets of information that will be more relatable and newsworthy to your audience. If you would like to dive deeper into this, please check out my bio. There are a number of links there. One of them is to a book that I've written called Breaking into the Media, a Journalist's Guide to Publicity. And in this book, you will find tons of insider tips and practical advice on how to grow your business using storytelling, media publicity, and business relatable tips and tricks. I hope you have found this helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video.